What if everything we've been taught about the rise of human civilization is wrong? 6,000 years ago, a mysterious culture in ancient Iraq appeared to skip thousands of years of development almost overnight. Astronomical references, symbols of the moon and stars, strange markings that some claim resemble modern concepts like wristwatches, and descriptions of technologies that seem far ahead of their time have puzzled researchers for generations. Now, thanks to artificial intelligence, long-forgotten clay tablets are revealing even more astonishing secrets. Have you seen the new excavations where they found new things? Oh yes, there will be much more of that. People are going to discover things they never expected. References to cosmic cycles, advanced technology, and even genetic codes are emerging from ancient texts, and what AI has recently uncovered in its latest translations may completely change the way we look at history. The strange civilization. What if human civilization didn't begin the way we think it did? Around 6,000 years ago, in the land between two great rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, a civilization appeared that still amazes historians today. In what is now modern Iraq, the Sumerians emerged with remarkable sophistication. They called themselves the Black-Headed People. What makes this so unusual is that their rise wasn't gradual. While many cultures spent thousands of years developing writing, laws, mathematics, and astronomy, Sumer seemed to achieve all of these almost at once. Villages transformed into vast city-states such as Eridu, Uruk, and Ur. At the center of everything was clay. But this wasn't ordinary clay. The Sumerians saw possibilities in it that no one else had imagined. They baked it into bricks, built cities from it, shaped it into trade tokens and pottery, and ultimately used it to create something revolutionary: memory. They invented cuneiform writing, wedge-shaped symbols pressed into clay tablets. For the first time in history, humanity could permanently record ideas, contracts, laws, royal decrees, poetry, and stories. Their creators would die, but their words would survive for thousands of years. Even their mathematics was extraordinary. Instead of using a base 10 system like we do today, they used a base 60 system. That legacy still exists: 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 360 degrees in a circle. This level of mathematical precision was being recorded on clay tablets thousands of years ago. Hidden knowledge in the tablets. As scholars translated more tablets, they discovered something unexpected. Alongside records of barley shipments and beer recipes were references to medical treatments, ritual practices, astronomical observations, knowledge that seemed strangely advanced. The problem was that reading these tablets was incredibly difficult. A single tablet might contain over 1,000 unique symbols, each capable of carrying different meanings depending on context. For decades, mastering cuneiform required a lifetime of study. Then artificial intelligence changed everything. Researchers in Munich began using machine learning to digitally reconstruct broken tablets, essentially solving some of the world's oldest and most difficult puzzles. At first, AI could only match fragments together. Soon, it began identifying writing styles, recognizing patterns, and reconstructing texts across centuries. By 2023, teams at Tel Aviv and Ariel University had developed AI systems capable of translating Akkadian texts into English in a fraction of the time previously required. What once took years could now be done in hours. As one observer described it, it was like combining Google Translate with a time machine. Ancient discoveries re-emerge. New excavations added even more excitement. At Khirbet Kestan in northern Iraq, archaeologists uncovered tablets dating to around 1800 BC. Researchers believe many were copied from even older originals. At Girsu, one of Sumer's oldest cities, more than 200 intact cuneiform tablets and dozens of cylinder seals were discovered. Many had been preserved in bitumen-lined containers that protected them from moisture and decay. Because these texts often referenced events from much earlier periods, historians suspect they may preserve knowledge stretching back to the earliest days of Sumerian civilization. By 2025, improved AI systems were identifying idioms, technical language, and subtle meanings that human translators had overlooked for decades. And some of the findings were surprising: cosmic cycles and ancient astronomy. The tablets reveal detailed records of planetary movements, solstices, celestial observations. Some researchers believe they even contain references to Earth's precession, the slow wobble of the planet's rotational axis. Whether these interpretations are correct remains debated, but the sophistication of Sumerian astronomy is undeniable. The tablets suggest careful observation of the heavens over long periods of time, medicine and technology. Other texts describe antiseptic treatments, trauma care, pulse diagnosis, family health records. Some writers have suggested these imply an understanding of hereditary traits long before modern genetics. More controversial claims involve descriptions of copper and iron vessels immersed in acidic liquids. Words translated as current, spark, and powerful glow have led some to compare these passages to the famous Baghdad Battery. Whether these texts actually describe electrical experimentation remains highly debated. The Anunnaki and ancient myths. Then there are the Anunnaki. In traditional Sumerian mythology, they were divine beings and cosmic judges. However, modern fringe theories, particularly those popularized by Zecharia Sitchin, reimagine them as ancient extraterrestrials. According to these theories, the Anunnaki came from a distant world called Nibiru and genetically engineered humanity to serve as a labor force. Mainstream historians and archaeologists reject these claims. Still, AI translations have highlighted technical-sounding language within some mythological texts, leading enthusiasts to continue debating their meaning. Terms once translated as divine boats or heavenly chariots have been re-examined, though interpretations vary widely. The creation of humanity. Some Sumerian texts, including the Atrahasis epic and the Eridu Genesis, describe humanity as being intentionally created by the gods. According to these stories, lesser gods grew tired of laboring and rebelled. The higher gods responded by creating humans to take over the work. The first humans were supposedly formed from clay, mixed with divine essence. One name associated with these early beings is Adamu, which many people notice resembles the biblical Adam. The myths go on to describe repeated attempts to perfect humanity until humans could reproduce successfully and perform their intended tasks. While some view these stories as symbolic mythology, others interpret them through the lens of modern ideas about genetic engineering. Nibiru and cataclysms. Sitchin's controversial Nibiru theory claims that a distant planet passes through the inner solar system every 3,600 years, influencing civilization. There is no scientific evidence supporting the existence of such a planet. However, Sumerian tablets do describe major catastrophes, massive floods, droughts, climate disasters, strange celestial phenomena. Some researchers interpret these accounts as mythologized descriptions of real historical events. Others see them as evidence of forgotten astronomical knowledge. The Sumerian King List. One of the strangest surviving documents is the Sumerian King List. The earliest rulers are said to have reigned for astonishing lengths of time. For example, Alulim supposedly ruled for 28,800 years. Dumuzid supposedly ruled for 36,000 years. Later kings have more realistic reign lengths. Mainstream scholars generally view the enormous numbers as symbolic, intended to emphasize divine authority. Alternative researchers argue they may preserve distorted memories of something else entirely. Mysterious skeletons and bloodlines. Archaeological discoveries have added fuel to speculation. In the Royal Cemetery of Ur, unusual skeletal remains and elongated skulls have often been cited in alternative history discussions. Most archaeologists attribute such features to natural variation, cultural practices, or isolated anomalies. Yet theories persist. Ancient texts repeatedly emphasize sacred bloodlines and divine ancestry. This concept appears across many civilizations. Egyptian pharaohs claimed descent from gods. Inca rulers traced their origins to the sun. Other cultures preserved similar traditions. The Sumerians may have been among the first to record such beliefs in writing. Warnings from the ancient world. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Sumerian literature is not what it says about the past, but what it says about cycles. The tablets repeatedly describe eras of prosperity, followed by collapse. Modern science confirms several major climate disasters, including the 4.2 kilo-year event, which contributed to widespread societal disruption across the ancient world. The Sumerians often described these catastrophes with vivid imagery: red skies, darkened suns, rivers changing course, stars that foretold disaster. For centuries, these passages were dismissed as poetic exaggeration. Today, some researchers wonder whether they may preserve observations of real environmental and astronomical events. The gods of Sumer. Beyond the mysteries and theories, Sumerian mythology itself is extraordinary. Among its most important gods were Enlil, lord of wind and authority; Enki, god of wisdom, creation, and fresh water; Inanna, Ishtar, goddess of love, war, and power; Utu, Shamash, god of the sun and justice; Nanna, goddess of the moon; Ninimah, associated with knowledge, healing, and creation; An, the Sky Father; Kai, the Earth Mother; Anzu, the legendary Thunderbird, who stole the Tablets of Destiny. Their stories explored themes of creation, death, rebirth, justice, wisdom, ambition, and cosmic order. Many myths that later appeared throughout the ancient world may trace their roots back to these earliest written traditions. And as artificial intelligence continues translating thousands of tablets that have remained unread for millennia, one thing becomes clear: the story of Sumer is far from finished. Every new translation offers another glimpse into a civilization that helped shape the foundations of human history and may still have secrets left to reveal.